Live from ABC News Channel 20, your voice, your future, the Springfield Mayoral Debate.
Good evening and welcome to the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate, brought to you by WICS News Channel 20 and WTAX Radio 1240 and 107.5. I'm Adam Reif and I'll moderate tonight's debate. First, let's meet our panelists. On the far right, Alex Degman is News Director at WTAX Radio. Alex, thank you. Jordan Abadea is political reporter here at News Channel 20. And closest to me, Joey McLaughlin, host of Newswatch on WTAX in the mornings. And now we'll meet our two candidates. Born and raised in Springfield, Jim Langfelder spent 2 decades in the private sector before he was elected Springfield City Treasurer in 2003, a post he's held ever since. Paul Palazzolo has lived in Springfield his whole life. He was appointed Sangamon County Auditor in 2002, went on to win 3 consecutive terms. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome, Adam. Thank you.
Before we get started, a brief word about the format of tonight's debate. Questions will come from panelists, from viewers, and from listeners. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer. The first to answer each question will also be allowed 30 seconds of rebuttal time. I'll have my eye on the clock and we'll keep the candidates to time. We begin first with opening statements from each candidate. Gentlemen, you have 2 minutes, as we agreed on earlier. We had a coin flip before. Mr. Palazzolo, you won that coin flip and chose to close tonight's debate last. Mr. Langfelder, you'll open first. 2 minutes.
Thank you, WICS and WTAX, for tonight's forum. I'm Jim Langfelder, currently serving as your city treasurer and candidate for mayor. Many of you know me. I'm a lifelong resident of Springfield. I worked my way through and graduated from Lincoln Land Community College and Sangamon State University, now known as UIS. My wife Billy and I have been married for 25 years and we have 3 children. Prior to being elected city treasurer, I've worked in banking for 14 years, helping individuals, businesses, and nonprofit organizations meet their financial needs and grow in our community. Like many of you, I have volunteered being a coach of youth athletics, volunteering for many organizations, and serving as president of the Dana Thomas House Foundation, Leadership Springfield, and the Springfield Center for Independent Living. I decided to seek the office of mayor because I have the sincere desire and passion to do what is best for Springfield. Springfield is a great community, but our city is at a crossroads. We must come together so we can reach our fullest potential as a community, educationally, economically, and recreationally. As your mayor, I'm not going to worry about who gets the credit, moving up the elected ladder, or being re-elected. What I am going to worry about is getting the job done. As your mayor, we will work together so Springfield can reach its fullest potential and be the model city for other cities to follow, especially with regards to trust in city government, race relations, economic development, and city operations. I assure you, as your mayor, the mission and culture of city government will be openness, integrity, and doing what's best for Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Langfelder. Mr. Palazzolo, your opening statement, 2 minutes.
And also thanks to WICS, WTAX, and to the viewers for tuning in tonight. Many say there are no differences between my opponent and myself. Well, other than my gray hair, I would also say that there's additional differences that boil down to transparency, trash, electricity, and responsibilities. When it comes to transparency, both personally and professionally, I've been personally willing to release 5 years of my family's personal tax returns. Professionally, my office's website is completely transparent with county audits, budgets, and minutes for the board that I administer. The city treasurer's website is missing the meeting minutes for the police and fire pension boards that, as we know, are severely underfunded. When it comes to trash, your garbage bill does not belong on your CWLP bill. Penalizing those who are in compliance and adding bureaucratic burden for more government will not solve the problem. Many trash customers have specific or random schedules. Our utility does not need this extra helping of bureaucracy on its plate to accommodate the extra questions, complaints, and concerns. What if a ratepayer skips out? CWLP assumes the loss for CWLP, but who assumes the loss for the trash hauler? And there will still be fly dumping that will need the enforcement that I will step up as mayor. Electricity. Right now, we need reliability and low rates to attract new businesses, customers, residents, and jobs to the city of Springfield. Alternative energy is more important to start up. And if there's not enough takers, do we all pick up the tab to start up? When it comes to closing Dolman 1 and 2, we can't afford another Sierra Club accommodation or cave-in. The City Council just invested $2 million to bring these up to standards. It's time for a fresh perspective in city government, and as mayor, I'll lead Springfield to the next level as a great city that just also happens to be the capital of Illinois.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our first question tonight is from Alex Degman. Mr. Palazzolo, you'll answer first.
Gentlemen, good evening. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. We're talking a lot about city water, light, and power, and we have been for some time because they're in a recurring financial mess, especially in the electric fund. The utility says it wants to lower rates while increasing the base customer fee, plus adding a municipal tax, among other ideas. Gentlemen, do you support such an idea? And if not, what's your path to solvency for this utility?
Well, I've talked about how as mayor, I want to bring a professional manager to the CWLP leadership team, an individual who can think strategically to help move CWLP forward. I've also talked about a volunteer board of directors that will help keep the focus on making sure that just as any major corporation has a board of directors, the volunteer board of directors will serve in that capacity. We'll also have an appointed Citizens Advisory Council to help the utility be transparent in all dealings. But when it comes to the alternative energy options, I've talked to voters, and they don't want Jim Langfelder's plan, which will increase rates. Jim's plans are based on alternative energy, which is more expensive. The Sierra Club accommodation of shutting down Dolman 1 and 2 that'll cost us local jobs, and millions that will be spent on startup. We'd have the potential to lose control of our utility by buying power outside of Springfield, and solar startup. If there's not enough ratepayers for individuals who are interested in that option, who picks up the slack? Now, this is what we'll accomplish if I have an opportunity to serve as mayor. We'll bring a strategic leader to the utility, have volunteer advisory board members, and a Citizens Utility Council that will help keep utility rates low.
Thank you, Mr. Palazzolo. Mr. Langfelder?
First, people should go to langfelder2015.com to get the accurate or portrayal of my report. But what I would do as mayor, I had visited Springfield, Missouri, and viewed their plans as what they've done. They've controlled their financial destiny, especially with regards to renewable energy. We are going to spend over $100 million in the city of Springfield because of the wind contracts. We could have built our own wind farm. We could have built a solar farm if we would look to the future. My private sector experience and experience as city treasurer gives me the financial background to lead CWLP. What we don't need is a reoccurrence of what happened in 1998 and 1999 when the utility lost over $50 million with an entrepreneurial general manager. We do not need to go back to that form of electric trade. What I would do is audit CWLP contracts. I would refinance the bonds to save money. I would look to our financial future and control our destiny by looking in 2025. That's when EPA regulations for-profit organizations is going to require renewables of 25%. It won't be far behind when they expect the same out of CWLP, and we will be in the position where we can control our financial destiny so our ratepayers will be the beneficiaries of that plan.
Mr. Langfelder, do you support shutting down Dolman 31 and 32?
I agree with Eric Hobby, General Manager Eric Hobby. After their useful life, we should look at other forms of renewable energy or whatever that plan would be, but make no mistake about it. Coal energy will be the driving force for CWLP, but we need to position ourselves so we can control our financial destiny. If we would have done that with the wind contracts, we would not have been in the financial difficulties that we are today.
Mr. Palazzolo, 30-second rebuttal.
Well, Eric Hobby also said that we need to spend money to bring those generators up to standards. And indeed, the City Council just approved $2 million late last year in order to be able to do that. We need to make sure that that money isn't wasted, and we need to make sure that Dolman 31 and 32 continue to assist the utility to keep rates low. And when it comes to auditing CWLP contracts, I would have urged my friend Jim to make sure that as treasurer, he could have done that any time during his service and called for an audit of CWLP contracts, as well as when he also called for additional utility reports to be able to be out. That could have been done as city treasurer as well.
Thank you, Mr. Palazzolo. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll ask both Paul Palazzolo and Jim Langfelder about transparency in government. Now they plan to grow the local economy. You're watching the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate.
You're watching Your Voice, Your Future, the Springfield Mayoral Debate.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on News Channel 20 as well as WTAX 107.5 and 1240 AM. Our next question comes from Joey McLaughlin and concerns transparency in government. Joey?
Mr. Langfelder, Mr. Palazzolo, transparency has already come up in some opening statements and some of the questions this evening, but that's the focus of my first question this evening. It's been on the minds of many Springfield residents with the release of many of the documents from the shredding incident. If you're elected mayor, how do you propose making the city government as transparent as possible?
Mr. Langfelder?
I plan on making the city transparent as I've done as a treasurer. When I first came into office, I'm not going to change my direction becoming mayor. We're here to serve the public, and I'm not transparent because it's an elected year or fashionable. I have been doing it ever since I've been treasurer in 2003. When I first came on, the annual treasurer's report was a continuous form report like computer paper, and I asked why you do that, and they said, well, if someone wanted to find out anything about city finances, they could just dig through that report. Well, I made it reader-friendly so people know what employees earn, where their money's going, and it's available online in a reader-friendly format. I would do the same thing throughout all city government. I followed the Secretary of State standards with regards to record documentation, retention, and disbursement as far as destroying those particular items. You send your information to the Secretary of State, and they let you know when it's permissible to dispose of those documents. I would make sure that all areas of government follow that same guideline, being transparent, being open. If someone wants to file information or needs information, we're going to provide it as expeditiously as possible without filing a FOIA request unless it's to maintain the integrity of individuals' personal identity. But other than that, we're going to provide the information as expeditiously as possible.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Palazzolo?
Well, transparency starts with leading by example. And as I've mentioned, I've been leading by example by releasing 5 years of my family's personal tax returns so that individuals and citizens know who would like to serve them as mayor. The reason I do that is not for any electioneering or any kind of standard gimmick that you might find during a campaign. It's important because as county auditor, I'm very familiar with the situation that happened in Dixon, Illinois, where their controller, Rita Crundwell, was able to siphon away approximately $50 million away from Dixon's financial reserves and financial budget. $2 million spent on a motorhome and horses that you wouldn't believe. It's important that people know who wants to serve them in this role, and that's why I'm releasing my personal family's tax returns for the last 5 years. Professionally, my office's website as your Sangamon County Auditor is completely transparent with county audits, budgets, and minutes for the board that I administer, the Workplace Safety Board. I'm looking for the City Treasurer's website to show us the meeting minutes for the Police and Fire Pension Fund boards that are completely underfunded. Rockford, Joliet, and Urbana, all on their websites for the Police and Fire Pension boards, those minutes are available. I'd like to see those, and we might be able to learn some things.
Mr. Langfelder, 30-second rebuttal.
The Police and Fire Pension boards control the information that's released. As far as what I've done as treasurer is above and beyond what's called for. And we provide the financial reports. That's the most important thing, getting the financial information as far as actuarial analysis and audits onto the website. With regards to other items, I've always been open and transparent. What I find interesting is when individuals release information at the 0 hour during an election. What we need to do is be open all the time, put in checks and balances like I've done with the Treasurer's Office so we can protect the taxpayers' dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Langfelder. Our next question comes from Jordan Abadea.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We have heard that Springfield has an aging population, and a lot of young people are actually moving to other cities to start their families and to start their lives. So what specific plans do you have for economic development, and will a recent proposal for a minimum wage increase impact those plans?
Mr. Palazzolo?
As mayor, I'll work hard to bring jobs and new businesses and residents to the city of Springfield. It's important to make sure that you are working and employing what's needed to bring young people here to the city, to keep our city's children and grandchildren 10 minutes away and not 10 hours away. As mayor, here's how I'm going to do that. First and foremost, we're going to keep the current businesses that we have. We also need to look at bringing new opportunities to Springfield as well. For example, we've got Wells Fargo in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who's about to lay off 1,000 individuals. I'd like to pursue that opportunity as mayor, to go up there to Wells Fargo and say, what can we do to bring those Wells Fargo employees that you might be working to relocate? Let's bring them here to Springfield, and let's be open and let's have that conversation to lead that effort. I'll also work hard at marketing Springfield's strengths. There are so many strengths that this city has that we need a mayor who can show what businesses can take advantage of when they come to the city of Springfield. And those strengths are the medical community, the educational community, including UIS and LLCC. There are a number of ways that I'll work hard as mayor to bring new business opportunities to the city of Springfield.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Langfelder?
What I would employ is what we call target employment sectors. And that's where you group like industries together so we can determine what prohibits their growth. For instance, with the medical community, we'd have the hospitals working together as well as Springfield Clinic and the physicians to identify what issues are prohibiting their growth so we can expand those industries greater and then also bring in and attract businesses that feed into that particular industry. We'd also work with the education community, especially University of Illinois, Springfield, Lincoln Land Community College, School District 186, and we would make sure that we are having an educated, trained workforce to take on the living wage jobs that we'll create as a community. Another item that I pointed out is I'm going to focus on economic development. Right now there's no committee within city government that helps with that initiative. I presented a Community Development Finance Commission that will work with the Office of Economic Development to prioritize TIP projects and areas, as well as with planning and moving our city forward with regards to retention, attraction, and expansion of businesses.
Candidates, quickly, a minimum wage increase, would that hurt or help your plans for economic development?
30 seconds, Mr. Langfelder, go ahead.
I'm for a minimum wage with regards to the state government, what's directed by them. What we want to do is grow as a community. I'm a firm believer that the business sector will provide living wage jobs, and basically what I'm going to focus on is our interior, the heart of our city, to make sure that the heart of our city, which is the downtown area, near North End, East Side, that we can grow those areas that would help School District 186 and develop living wage jobs within those targeted areas.
Thank you. Mr. Palazzolo, 30 seconds.
A minimum wage increase would be harmful to businesses who are trying to help as many people as possible be employed. As mayor, I'll streamline city regulations to help speed up projects so that they're moving at the speed of business rather than the speed of government. That means being business friendly and reducing hurdles for businesses.
Thank you, gentlemen. Coming up after the break, we'll take some questions from the viewers and listeners. Plus, we'll discuss some racial issues in the capital city. And later, the candidates will address each other directly. All that and more coming up on the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate. Welcome back. Our next question in the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate will come from a viewer named Richard. Mr. Langfelder, your answer first. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Richard. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, and I would like to ask our mayor candidates how they're going to support small businesses in Springfield, Illinois. Also, we're concerned about all the businesses and the houses being boarded up on the east side of Springfield and how they're going to address this problem.
Mr. Langfelder, go ahead.
First and foremost, my priority is to develop the heart of the city. Our target areas would be the interior of Springfield. If you look at Springfield, the outside perimeter is growing, but we need to focus on our interior areas, which has impacted by the dilapidated housing. Two core issues that I would address. One is have a housing council that would bring together all the housing organizations that currently many times work individually. We'd bring them together so they work collectively. A couple of things I've done on the private sector is the Kings Court project, which is located right across from Channel 20. It used to be a dilapidated area. I worked with Pastor Doss to get grant funding for that particular project, and now it's a gated community that's thriving and paying property taxes to the city of Springfield. Another housing development I helped with was the John Hay Homes project. Mayor Karen Hasser appointed me to a charrette that led the transformation from John Hay Homes to the Madison Park Place, and I helped also in the private sector get them a grant for their infrastructure. Another initiative I would have is a live, work, home ownership program that would allow individuals an incentive in those areas that live in the area, receive an incentive to purchase properties in those targeted areas.
Thank you, Mr. Palazzolo.
I know Richard makes a mean bowl of chili too, and if you get a chance to enjoy it, it's very good. But there's more than commissions when it comes to economic development. As mayor, I'll attract businesses that play to Springfield's strengths so citizens don't have to work 2 jobs just to get by. As mayor, I'm going to be the city's salesperson in chief, and I won't need to send staff to certification classes to bring in new businesses. When it comes to helping the East Side, we have to help all sides of the city of Springfield by attracting new jobs, businesses, customers, and residents to the city of Springfield. We need to market our strengths. We need to make sure that we're promoting what we have in Springfield to bring new businesses to the city of Springfield, and I intend to do that.
Mr. Langfelder, 30-second rebuttal.
Well, I've led by example, as I pointed out. My targeted sectors would help grow the area, attract new businesses, especially with regards to educational community, the medical community, small and large businesses. I've done it on the private sector, and I will share those same philosophies on the business sector. What we need to do is have a bottoms-up approach where we get impact or community input instead of the mayor dictating what projects need to be done. I'm going to rely on the community to provide direction so it provides for a cohesive, comprehensive strategy for developing our areas.
Thank you, sir. Our next question from Jordan Abadea.
Gentlemen, with the recent events happening across the country highlighting the need for diversity, how as mayor would you make sure that you're going to tend to race relations here in the city and make the city government more inclusive?
Mr. Palazzolo.
Well, it's time for a new chapter in the land of Lincoln because what we've been doing really hasn't been working. As mayor, I'll appoint a full-time professional diversity director who will lead change in city government and look at our workforce to help us make sure that we're representative of the entire community. A diversity director will also raise awareness for diversity in city government as well as private businesses. We'll attract diverse businesses, engaging leaders to bring their opportunities and businesses to the city of Springfield. And I'll lead an expansion of Grow Our Own, a successful program that was templated by Hanson Engineers, where young people of all races have an opportunity to learn professions that they would like to be involved with and why they would want to come back to Springfield and be employed by those firms in Springfield that employ those particular skills. I'd like to have a diversity director work on expanding Grow Our Own to professions beyond engineering, like at Hanson Engineers, to include accountancy and perhaps even education and municipal government. Unfortunately, when it comes to diversity and a diversity director, my opponent does not believe that it deserves full-time attention. We're going to restructure city government and appoint individuals who can serve us in this regard and move forward effectively.
Mr. Langfelder.
What's important to realize is how city government operates. And what's crucial is to make sure our Office of Community Relations, which deals with discrimination, maintains that authority. And I will maintain that office and raise the level because that is our representative for diversity. Any issues internally within government or externally within government that come up, you can go to the Office of Community Relations to report it and we will act on it. With regards to diversity, I'm going to be the diversity director. I'm not going to hire somebody. I'm the one responsible, and I've done that by leading by example in the private sector, and I will bring those same talents to government. Specifically, with regards to hiring practices, we would put in place, like I've done when I was CRA coordinator, helping low and moderate income areas, making sure they're not discriminated against with banking. I bring those same practices to city government, making sure that we do have anti-discriminatory, fair practices with regards to hiring. In addition, I would partner with School District 186 like I did with Lanphier High School on the private sector. We would form a partnership with government and School District 186 to show students career opportunities available within city government and appeal to them so they know what they need to do if they would like to receive a position within city government. Next, I would also include labor practices, so we review the agreements to make sure city government is following all labor agreements that they have agreed to.
Thank you, Mr. Palazzolo. 30-second rebuttal.
From my experience, leadership shows that you get talented people into the right seats. And as mayor, you'll find the leadership that we'll be using to put the right people in the right seats on this particular train, and finding a person of talent and skill and experience to serve as diversity director to help us accomplish that goal.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another quick break here on News Channel 20, as well as for the listeners on WTAX 107.5 and 1240. When we come back, we'll ask the candidates about race relations, and later in the show about improving the infrastructure in the capital city. You're watching the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate.
You're watching Your Voice, Your Future, the Springfield Mayoral Debate.
Welcome back to the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate. Our next question comes from Alex Degman and concerns hiring in the city government. Mr. Langfelder will answer first. Alex?
Gentlemen, the city payroll has shrunk fairly significantly depending upon who you ask since Mike Houston took office. Do you think the city currently has enough employees to carry out essential functions? And should you be elected, would your goal as mayor be further reduction to save some more money?
As mayor, I'll do what I had done as treasurer, and that is live within our means each and every year. I've always balanced the budget, actually returning dollars back to the corporate fund. When times were tough, I left positions vacant and actually have downsized by eliminating a position at city treasurer. I have taken a pledge that I will not create any new position within city government for the first year of taking office. I'm going to review each and every department. We are going to change the way we do business so we can streamline operations, operate efficiently, and do what we are here to do, serve the public within our means and providing the best service possible.
And are there any city departments that you can think of right now that you would be looking at first?
I'm going to meet with each director of every department, and specifically what I'm going to do is work with CWLP and making sure that there's no duplications of services with regards to CWLP and city administration. And we are going to fine-tune that and become more streamlined with regards to efficiencies and working together as a city government.
Mr. Palazzolo?
Well, I would applaud the City Council in the last 4 years for enacting a cap of 1,500 employees on city government. I think that was a fiscally prudent move, and I applaud that effort, and we would make sure that we abide with that effort as we move forward serving as mayor of the city of Springfield. And as county auditor, I've been a part of county government that has operated both with fiscal responsibility and transparency. And when it comes to lowering headcount, even in county government, we're down 100 positions even after we had the chance to merge with the city of Springfield's public health department. We have a track record of success in this regard in county government. We know how to serve the taxpayer and more with less. That's how I'll serve as mayor of the city of Springfield as well. When we've had those fiscal crisis crunches in 2008 and 2009, we worked hard with the directors in county government to cut back expenses 5% each in 2 fiscal years. This is a track record of success that, as mayor, you'll find being enacted in city government because of my experience with the fiscal responsibility successes that comes from county government.
And Mr. Palazzolo, you talk about things like implementing a professional manager at CWLP and hiring a full-time diversity director. Are these positions the city absolutely needs to have right now? Can the city afford to add on those people to payroll?
I believe the city can afford these positions to help bring the city to a level that will be attractive to new businesses, new jobs, and new customers and residents of the city of Springfield. A lot of the current positions can be repurposed to focus on some of the positions that I'm offering in a leadership role to strategically move the city forward. And also, too, with the general manager at City Water, Light and Power, there are functions at City Water, Light and Power that can be repurposed and those dollars applied to what we need to bring back a general manager to CWLP, again, to make sure that rates are low and that the city is attractive to new businesses.
Mr. Langfelder, 30-second rebuttal.
We are going to work smarter and harder and more efficiently as a city government under the Langfelder administration. That's what we're here to do, and that's the direction I'm going to take. I led by example as city treasurer. We're going to do it citywide each and every year, balance the budget with CWLP and the city operations on the corporate side, and do it efficiently and effectively to serve you, the citizens of Springfield.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another quick break here on News Channel 20 as well as WTAX Radio. When we come back, we'll ask the candidates about improving the infrastructure in the capital city. Plus, the candidates will go head-to-head and ask questions of each other. You're watching the 2015 Springfield mayoral debate. Welcome back to the News Channel 20 WTAX 2015 mayoral debate. Question now from Joey McLaughlin.
Mr. Palazzolo, Mr. Langfelder, Springfield roads have taken a beating this winter, and its infrastructure is just generally showing its age. Now, there's already a plan for infrastructure that's in place. How do you, if you're elected mayor, plan to keep those improvements going? And what areas do you believe are most in need of improvement?
Mr. Palazzolo?
Thanks, Joey. Here's what I'll do as mayor with regards to infrastructure. First, on day one, I'll launch a volunteer review to ensure that taxpayer dollars for infrastructure are being spent wisely and fairly to benefit each ward. Secondly, I will finish the 11th Street corridor, connecting our educational hub, University of Illinois Springfield and Lincoln Land, to the downtown. That will do a couple of things. That will allow students who would like to reside downtown and be afforded that expedient opportunity to be able to do that, and that can begin the development process along the 11th Street corridor. Thirdly, as mayor, I'll fund a public-private partnership for broadband Wi-Fi, and I'll work on finding that as mayor to grow residential, the base, and the commercial base. And as mayor, I will finish aisles and arch your elevators so you're not sliding in the ditch when you're on your way to Rotary Park or the Carasotis Y. If we don't grow Springfield, we're not going to solve our problems with infrastructure. And as mayor, I'll be working to grow Springfield.
Mr. Langfelder.
The 11th Street extension and also Stanford are on the, should be in process in 2015 and 2016. So as mayor, I will make sure that those continue on their goals, and those have been planned for years. Another area I'd look at is with urban flooding. We need to do something with regards to our sewer conditions. So I would also fulfill the 3-year obligation to do bonds next year as mayor and continue that effort, but also work with the sanitary district to see how we can have a strategic plan to move forward to the future, not only our immediate goals, but also our future goals to alleviate any flooding issues that we have. Next, I would also work with the aldermen, neighborhoods, and businesses in each ward, developing individual ward plans, strategic plans, so they can prioritize projects and provide feedback on issues they are facing as a ward, and those would feed in collectively with our overall city plan for growth and strategic planning with the city of Springfield. Next, with regards to Wi-Fi, CWLP already has the infrastructure in place. What I would do is put an emphasis on Wi-Fi for downtown and distressed areas that need that type of incentive for individuals to create businesses and jobs within those targeted sectors and areas that I've previously discussed.
Joey, a follow-up?
Mr. Langfelder, economic development has been a recurring theme this evening. How do you make sure that new development has the infrastructure support that it needs?
Well, what you need to do is create that incentive. First and foremost, CWLP used to be used as an incentive. And what has happened, we used to provide the most affordable rates in the state of Illinois. Now we're among the highest. As mayor, it's my goal to return CWLP back to its mission of reliable and affordable electricity and water to the citizens of Springfield. I have the plan presented that will do that, and that's what I will do as mayor and provide those incentives for our targeted areas.
Mr. Palazzolo, how does infrastructure affect economic development in Springfield?
Well, as I mentioned earlier about 11th Street, that will certainly be an infrastructure project that will impact economic development. And I think my friend Jim said it best at the beginning of his remarks on infrastructure when he said that 11th Street has been planned for years. As mayor, I'll make sure that it gets completed and move forward for economic development in that regard.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's now time for the candidates to ask questions of each other. You'll have 90 seconds to answer. Mr. Palazzolo, you will ask a question of Mr. Langfelder first, and then we'll reverse.
Well, Jim, your office administers the pension board, and pension board meetings are not on the treasurer's website. Is that because it would disclose the travel approved for trustees to go to Las Vegas, Palm Springs, Miami, and Hawaii, where you also went, that cost the pension funds a 6-figure amount?
Not at all. The reason the minutes aren't there is because they're available upon request, as you have done. But with regards to travel, it's important that individuals learn from others. And what I've done as treasurer is save the pension fund hundreds of thousands of dollars based on my financial expertise. Specifically with regards to conferences, what we have done is learn from others. They wanted to put a program in place for the pension fund, and we learned from Houston, Texas, where they were going on the verge of bankruptcy if we went that direction. So we opted not to. We've also, as far as myself, my own talents, I did an RFP for a management consultant that would provide expertise with our fund. And since going that direction, we have turned around the pension fund with regards to growth of investments. What's important to remember about pension funds is the state dictates, or they set the precedents with regards to benefits and any type of calculations that come to the pension funds. What the city council does, they allocate the funds that are going into the investment pool. So my responsibility as treasurer is investing those dollars per the direction of the board. And we've done that prudently and efficiently, and we have grown since I've been treasurer by nearly $100 million in the pension fund.
Mr. Langfelder, your question for Mr. Palazzolo.
At a public forum before the primary, you stated that you supported the governor's plan to establish right-to-work zones. Why have you reversed your position on that issue?
Well, that's not a reversal, Jim. I was very clear in saying that I do not believe that right-to-work zones have any priority to be on the agenda for the city of Springfield. I have personally said that it is a distraction, and that was my position from the beginning at that forum that evening and continually throughout the campaign. Right to work is not something that will benefit the city of Springfield, city government in the city of Springfield, and I was clear that evening, and I continue to be clear again. It is not something that we will engage in or pursue, and it has no place in moving forward and helping to attract new businesses and jobs and residents to the city of Springfield.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Another time, for another quick break. When we come back, we'll hear another question from the viewers and listeners, and the candidates will get to make their final pitch when we wrap things up. Stay with us on the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate.
You're watching Your Voice, Your Future, the Springfield Mayoral Debate.
Welcome back to those listening on 1240 WTAX as well as 107.5. You're watching the 2015 Springfield Mayoral Debate. Our final question tonight comes from a viewer named Linda. Let's take a look. Linda asks, what do the candidates plan on doing with the sewer backups into basements all over Springfield? Mr. Langfelder, you'll go first.
What I would do is work with the Office of Public Works. Know they've worked on it. Unfortunately, what happens when you have a deluge of rain, it comes up and it can impact any area at any time. So that is a high priority. Some areas, sewer system and other water, clear water as far as rainwater goes in the same system. What we'd like to do is split that off. It's a costly process. That's why I would work with the sanitary sewer district to identify ways that we can work together to alleviate those areas. Not only for the intermediate area, but also for our long-term future. That's what we need to do, is work collectively as a community to prevent issues like that from happening. We are going to focus on how to get the job done. That's why I'm going to work with each individual alderman and individuals within each ward to come up with plans, strategic plans to address the issues you face. So it's not only with flooding, but if there's any type of security issue, infrastructure, we're going to get feedback from you to prioritize those projects so we can better serve you, the public.
Mr. Palazzolo?
There are a couple reasons and ways that Mayor Palazzolo will work to address the sewer problem. First and foremost, we will see and hear firsthand through our ward walks and neighborhood visits just exactly what sewer problems exist so that we can address them and ensure that we are fixing immediately what problems are occurring with a long-term plan as well as a short-term plan. Additionally, we do need to work together with the Springfield Metro Sanitary District. There's a lot of expertise that they can offer in terms of addressing the sewer problem, and when we can streamline services in that regard, that helps move the city of Springfield forward as well as the other units of government that are serving us. We can work together to address the issue and make some progress.
Mr. Langfelder, 30-second rebuttal.
One other area that I would improve upon is through my economic development plan, what I would do to help those areas and other areas impacted is take a percentage of our growth from property taxes and sales tax base, and we would, with the City Council, determine what percentage should be utilized for infrastructure improvements. Because as those areas grow under my plan, what we need to do is make sure that we maintain the infrastructure and sewer development to prolong that growth.
Gentlemen, we have time for a question from Jordan Abadea.
Gentlemen, the governor's budget plan cuts the municipality's share of the tax money from the state in half. How would you plan on dealing with losing that amount of money? It's a very large sum for the city of Springfield.
Go ahead, Mr. Palazzolo.
Well, and thank you. The goal is, we've already learned that the first set that would have happened before June 30th is not going to happen. So we'll be looking ahead if the governor and the General Assembly will indeed, if they can hypothetically make that happen, we'll have to see how that goes. But from county government, again, we've learned to do more with less. When we were facing potential financial crises in 2008 and 2009, we were able to work with the directors in county government to reduce expenses across the board by approximately 5%. That's an effective measure that we can apply to the city of Springfield as well. And as mayor, you'll see fiscal responsibility being engaged as we lead the city of Springfield. But indeed, it's not just cuts. It's growing ourselves out of a problem that can be addressed. As mayor, you'll see Palazzolo out to be the salesperson in chief for the city of Springfield and leading to bring new businesses, jobs, and customers and residents to the city of Springfield. That's an important way that we can market Springfield's strengths to potential businesses that we want to come.
Mr. Langfelder?
First, what I would do is meet with the governor. Springfield is in a unique situation. We have a lot of government state buildings that don't pay property taxes. The state of Illinois had agreed to purchase 50% of our wind contracts and have not fulfilled those agreements. So what I would do is meet with the governor to ask for a reprieve with regards to any cut in income taxes, and I will work with the governor with regards to the agreement that the state had with regards to the wind contracts. So we would work together. He's a private sector individual coming from the private sector as I do. He would listen to those common sense issues and relieve us of that. But if not, I would lead it like I had with the Treasurer's Office. I've always operated within budget, even when times were tough, and we would hold the line on expenses with regards to city government, both at CWLP and the corporate fund. Just like you have to do at your home, we will do so as city government as well.
Gentlemen, thank you both. It's now time for closing arguments. Each candidate will have 1 minute. And Mr. Langfelder, we will start with you.
Again, thank you for hosting today's forum. My whole life has been built on the importance of family and community. Springfield is a great community, but we can make it greater for everyone. Our community is like a family. When one is suffering, we all suffer. We must work together so Springfield can reach its fullest potential economically, educationally, and recreationally. My vision for Springfield is that we are the model city for others to follow, especially with trust in government, community relations, CWLP, and also economic development. As mayor, what I'm going to worry about is getting the job done and doing what's best for Springfield. I ask you to pass along to your friends and family to do what's best for the city's future. Please vote for me. I'm asking for your vote. Jim Langfelder for mayor, best for Springfield. Thank you.
Mr. Palazzolo.
My friends, it's time for Springfield's next chapter, and it's the right time for a fresh perspective, a strong voice, and a solid record of success to lead our city forward. I've had the privilege of serving you as your Sangamon County Auditor for 12 years. I've also led many organizations within the city of Springfield as well, as also one of the largest volunteer service organizations in the world with 600,000 members in 80 countries. These valuable experiences have prepared me to serve as Springfield's next mayor. And here's what that means for citizens. As county auditor, I've led new initiatives that have had a solid track record of fiscal responsibility, and I'll continue that as mayor. As president of Kiwanis International, I brought people together to accomplish goals. You'll see that as mayor. And as a volunteer leader for the Salvation Army and the Urban League and the Hoagland Center, I work to focus on having Springfield be attractive, to focus on education, safety, and helping Springfield move forward. I ask for your vote on April 7th.
Jim Langfelder, Paul Palazzolo, thank you very much for your time and joining us this evening. I also want to thank our panelists, Jordan Abadea, Alex Degman, and Joy McLaughlin for joining us, all the listeners at WTAX Radio, and all of you who joined us here on News Channel 20. Again, the general election Tuesday, April 7th. Polls open at 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. For more information on polling locations, our website, WICS.com or WTAX.com. I'm Adam Reif. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Thanks for watching the Springfield Mayoral Debate on ABC News Channel 20.